Hi, I'm Emily Canal. I'm Inc.'s resident Shark Tank expert, and this is Tips from the Tank. Today we're talking about Blueland, which is a company that's trying to reduce single-use plastic by making refillable household cleaners. Founders Syed and Sarah came into the tank asking for $270,000 in exchange for 2% of their business, which they created in New York City. When we normally think about shopping for household cleaners, it looks something like this. You run out of a product and you go and replace it at the store. But founders Syed and Sarah want to change that behavior in consumers.
Our tablets come with a beautiful reusable forever bottle, so you never have to throw away another plastic cleaning bottle ever again. Together, we can eliminate approximately 5 billion plastic cleaning bottles each year.
That really got the attention of one of the guest sharks on this episode of Shark Tank, Daniel Lubetzky, who is the founder of Kind Snacks.
We are all aware of the problem with plastics. We're trying to do everything we can to not destroy our planet before it's too late. What's your unique selling proposition or differentiation?
Syed and Sarah couldn't really answer Daniel's questions about what differentiates them, which caused some concern for him. While Daniel was asking these questions, the sharks were also firing their questions about fundraising, money, valuations of the two founders, so we didn't really get a clear answer as to what they think differentiates them from other brands. However, we did learn that the two founders have raised $3 million at a 13.5 valuation, and that was from venture capital and other successful entrepreneurs. Those kind of numbers always get the sharks excited, and then the founders started talking about sales, that they had sold about $200,000 worth of product just in the first month that they were online. And that was direct to consumer. The fact that the entrepreneurs were hoping to give away just 2% of their company is a big indicator as to how the negotiations were going to go. Very, very badly.
I don't think you really came here for a deal. You came for the commercial amounts.
There were some side negotiations happening while the sharks were offering their deals, but Kevin was really the first to get a concrete deal out. Sarah and Syed countered Kevin O'Leary's offer by asking for 3% equity, which got Mark Cuban laughing hysterically. At this point, the sharks are getting pretty pissed off. If you're not willing to budge on that equity, it's a little disrespectful and doesn't incentivize your investor to work for you. Then, Sarah makes this genius call. She clearly understands Kevin O'Leary and knows what he likes to do when he makes deals on Shark Tank. She turns to Syed, they whisper for a minute, and she comes back at Kevin.
So Kevin,
Yes.
we know you like a good royalty. What if we kept you at 3% for $270, but then we give you a royalty of 50 cents per kit until you make your money back?
Done.
The 3 tips for this pitch are: know what makes you different, don't mess up an opportunity, and strategize for your shark. Number 1, know what makes you different. These founders had a really compelling product, they had a really compelling story, but there was one thing lacking in their pitch, and that is how they would stand out against other brands trying to do something similar. There are lots of companies trying to produce more eco-friendly products and products that would cut down on single-use plastics. So what is this company doing that makes them special? Why should the sharks invest in them? And that was a question they really couldn't answer on Shark Tank. While they were still able to get a deal, that is something that every founder should think about before they pitch investors, is what makes them different. Hopefully your idea is original enough that you don't have to, but you should always have that in your back pocket. Number 2, don't screw up an opportunity. The two founders came in saying they were seeking $270,000 for 2% equity, and right off the bat, the sharks were gasping. That is a very, very risky proposition for anyone. And yes, the sharks know that there's going to be negotiations during the deal-making process, but that is still a very, very low amount of equity to be willing to give up. Coming in, saying that you're willing to give up 2% equity sends a message right from the start, and that's what tipped off Mark Cuban. That's why he got angry and said, I think you're just here for the commercial, for the publicity. So off the bat, if you're gonna go on a show like Shark Tank, if you're gonna pitch investors, you need to make sure that your equity is a reasonable amount to get them to work hard for you and doesn't insult them. Number 3, strategize for your shark. Sarah made a brilliant move here that ended up saving their pitch. It really looked like the sharks were angry with them, they weren't willing to give up a lot of equity, doors were closing very quickly. And then Sarah, seeing the opportunity to negotiate more with Kevin O'Leary, pulled out a royalty deal, which is something that Kevin O'Leary does very often on the show. If you're gonna go on Shark Tank or if you're going to pitch an investor, strategize a little bit ahead of time. Know which founders gravitate towards which deals. That way, if you feel your moment slipping away, like Sarah and Syed did, you can pull something out that might save your deal. I'm Emily Canal, this is Tips from the Tank, and never underestimate the power of a royalty deal.